Welcome back! My name is ballerscuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1983. Today, we're going to talk about Enchanter. The story of Enchanter takes us back to Infocom. We have talked about Infocom several times before. Infocom has been responsible for the Zork games as well as Deadline. We last talked about Infocom in our videos on Planetfall. Enchanter was created by Mark Blank and Dave Lebling. We have talked about both of these men before. Mark Blank was responsible for Deadline, while both Infocom founders were partially responsible for all three Zork games. Enchanter was originally designed to be a fourth Zork game. However, during development, Blank and Lebling felt that the new spells they programmed into the game warranted making Enchanter its own standalone game. Enchanter is a text-based interactive fiction game. It uses the same game engine as Infocom's previous games. More words were added to the game's parser, with the game said to understand over 700 words, which is said to be the most advanced parser at the time. Infocom released Enchanter for several different computer systems on August 10th, 1983. That is the short backstory to Enchanter. With that now told, it's time to take a closer look at the physical items that came with the game. The game comes with a pamphlet named A Brief History of Magic. This was written by Augustar Womax, copyrighted 927 GUE. Inside, the first page shows a torn piece of paper. It reads, "The history of magic can be broken down into 4 distinct periods: the Imperial Age, the Scientific Age, the Industrial Age, and the Age of Guilds. Each of these will be explored in some depth in order to give the reader a sense of the course of events which has shaped the use of magic in today's society." Then we start seeing full pages. The first is the Empirical Age. It reads, "Primitive cultures had naturally assumed that the disorderly nature of our world was due to such supernatural causes as magic. With the founding of the natural sciences, however, nature was increasingly viewed as being orderly. As the sciences progressed, the knowledge and lore of magic largely disappeared. As early as the 5th century GUE, Great Underground Empire, however, such students of the mystic art as Bizbaz and Dinbar thoroughly examined ancient writings on the subject. Bizbaz himself wrote what became the seminal work in thaumaturgy, on the presence of incredibly weird stuff going on in 473 GUE, in which he claimed to have discovered, for the most part, natural rules, by which this weird stuff is ordered. This work was ridiculed by the leading scholars of the time, leading to Bizbaz's removal from the faculty at the Galepath University, and eventually to his tragic suicide in 475 GUE. His work, however, encouraged others in the pursuit of magical knowledge, with mixed results. Charlatans claiming to have created magical potions and powders regularly fooled the gullible population into buying potions which claimed to do such things as reverse hair loss and draw trebled fromps and double Finucci. Such appeals to public ignorance led King Duncanthrax in 672 GUE to write the Unnatural Acts, which provided stiff penalties for those convicted of selling unnatural or supernatural substances. The next page is the Scientific Age. It reads, "While the charlatans were at work, serious students took up the cause of magic, attempting to explain the natural world as a byproduct of the interrelated workings of the sciences of physics, medicine, chemistry, mathematics, and thaumaturgy. Their success in demonstrating the so-called first principles of thaumaturgy, namely presence, incantation, and unusual effect, led to a loosening of the unnatural acts to allow what became known as scientific thaumaturgy. During this period, the first chapter of the Guild of Enchanters was founded at the tiny hamlet of Accardi by the Sea by the great thaumaturge Vilbaz. During the reign of Frobwit the Flatter, 701 to 727 GUE, the art and science of thaumaturgy flourished. The first reliable incantation device, known to scholars as the hyperbolic incantation concentrator, was produced at the Thaumaturgical Institute in 723 GUE. The long, thin, portable device, nicknamed the Magic Wand by the lay press, became an instant sensation among the populace and gained a certain measure of respect for the fledgling science. A major advance in thaumaturgy occurred when Davmar, working in newly crowned King Mumberthrak's Flathead's laboratory, discovered a means by which incantation could be stored on special presence-imbued paper. These so-called scrolls were found, however, to be destroyed during the spell's incantation. Nonetheless, scrolls soon replaced the temperamental and poorly understood wand as the primary means of incantation. The problem of imbuing presence became a deterrent to the rapid growth of magical science. The creation of a single powerful scroll could take literally months for even the most creative and productive thaumaturge. The roadblock prevented the widespread use of magic for generations. The next page is the Industrial Age. It reads, "The Industrial Age dawned in 769 GUE with a discovery by a little-known thaumaturge named Burzio. Burzio, working for years in his own self-made workshop and often going for days without food, drink, or sleep, created the means by which presence could be transferred from a scroll to a specially impregnated paper by use of a simple spell, which he named after his dog, Nusto. This paper, in turn, held the presence even after the incantation had been finished, solving the major problem in spell production. The euphoria which greeted this discovery was tempered by the finding that very powerful spells could not be transferred in this way. Nevertheless, spell books, which were capable of holding dozens of spells, were produced in great number, leading to the founding of a new industry. Another advance in thaumaturgy occurred with the finding that certain liquids and powders could be imbued with the magical presence. Such potions are of great interest, although their limitations have prevented them from supplanting scrolls as the primary method of incantation. The first of these potions, which obviates the need for food and drink, was given the name Burzio, in honor of the great thaumaturge. The next page is the Age of Guilds. It reads, "As the use of magic became more prevalent, so did the problems inherent in its use. Since magic had become available to people in all professions, conflicts arose. One famous issue involved the question of whether the plumber's Physmo spell, cause stopped-up pipes to unclog, could be sold as a digestive aid by physicians. The issue came to a head in the aftermath of the Endless Fire of 773 GUE, so named because it burned for 4 weeks after destroying the city of Morellon. It was later found to have been started by a civil servant who thought he was casting the Zemdor spell, turn original into triplicate, but who instead cast the Zimbor spell, turn one really big city into lots of tiny little ashes. This led Lord Dimwit Flathead, the Excessive, to issue a series of 5,521 edicts over the following few weeks, which had the effect of severely limiting access to magic, and, incidentally, lawyers. Henceforth, all magic was entrusted to the various guilds of enchanters, which by now existed in many small communities. Each guild whose elders comprised the so-called Circle of Enchanters was empowered to form schools for the training of new enchanters. This official sanctioning of the guilds led to the formation of numerous other chapters, with memberships in the various guilds in excess of 2,000 by the year 800 GUE. Despite the fall of the Great Underground Empire in 883 GUE, under the feeble-minded reign of Werb Flathead, the Guild of Enchanters remains virtually unchanged in character today. The next page is titled Today's Enchanter. It reads, "Since the fall of the Empire, magic has again become a mysterious art, practiced primarily by trained sorcerers, although a few spells, such as Umbaz, obviate need for dusting, and Nurzo, balanced checkbook, have been approved for over-the-counter sale. Upon graduation from an accredited thaumaturgical college, an enchanter is given a spellbook with a few spells, none of which has great power. As an enchanter continues his or her studies, new spells may be obtained. These may be copied into a spellbook for use whenever the occasion warrants. The enchanter's job is not as easy as is commonly thought. An enchanter must memorize a spell written in a spellbook before casting it. Spells on scrolls and those which have been permanently etched in the memory by training needn't be memorized. Moreover, if an enchanter needs to use a particular spell twice, it must be memorized twice, since the effort of casting it makes it a jumble in one's memory. In fact, even a night's sleep will make an enchanter forget any memorized spells. But, in spite of the rigors of spellcasting, the personal rewards are great, and the job of enchanter remains a popular and well-respected vocation. That is followed by an afterthought. It reads, "The most fitting words regarding the history of magic were written over a century ago by the renowned historian Osmar in 823 GUE. He wrote, 'The greatest irony is this, that the ancients of our kind were nearer to knowing the truth about science than those who called themselves scientists. Science has taught us much, and given us new words for old mysteries. But beneath these words are mysteries, and beneath them more mysteries. The pursuit of magic has given these mysteries meaning, and provided for our people great benefits unrealized as yet by science. One day, perhaps, a great union will be formed between magic and science, and the final mysteries will be solved." The back of the pamphlet reads, "Our once peaceful land is being held in thrall by a warlock so powerful he detects and destroys even the strongest opponents who enter his domain. But all is not yet lost, for an ancient prophecy speaks of a brave and cunning novice enchanter, someone insignificant enough to slip past the watchful warlock and conquer him by means of rudimentary magic and spells discovered during the quest. Our only hope for the future is you. Should you succeed, a seat in the illustrious Circle of Enchanters shall be yours. But if you fail, our land will be subjugated to unimaginable doom forever. Farewell, brave enchanter. May your necromancy save the land and the prophecy prove true. The game also comes with an instruction manual that the back of the pamphlet references in the final paragraph. There is also a guild pin with a stylized E in the center and a sun and a moon surrounding it. There is also a scroll. It reads, "If you truly are the one brave enough to face unspeakable peril, let your wizardly powers reveal our words. Hear us, we, the Circle of Enchanters, have foreseen that a ruthless and powerful evil may one day seize this land. Should that time arrive, we also foresee the coming of age of a young enchanter, one whose heart and wits may triumph over the warlock's dark necromancy. It is our hope that this enchanter hears our words. We cannot see your face through the mists of time, but this we know in truth. You are promising in magic, but have not gained your full skills. That is as it must be, for the warlock would recognize one of the Council of Elders and would sense the presence of a more powerful enchanter. Thus, in your obscurity, you may find your way to his lair before he knows the mortal danger you pose. 4 spells will arm you as you begin your quest. Frost shall turn darkness to light. Knitfall shall build a bridge of language to all the animals of the land. Newstow writes maging. By it you shall commit spells to your treasured spell book. Blorb is a spell of protection. With it you may guard your most precious possession. Never forget, young enchanter, that magic is your only weapon. By your vows to the Council of Elders, you have cast aside the common protections of sword and armor. Therefore, you will need many more spells to accomplish your quest. These will be revealed to you. Always be alert. Though your way will be harsh and your steps fraught with danger, remember throughout your quest that you are the only hope of this land. We pray that our successors will choose wisely and that you will prove yourself worthy of the title Enchanter. Signed with our mark and cast into the ages. The Circle of Enchanters. Those are the physical items that come with the original version of Enchanter. With those now looked at, it's time to play the game for ourselves. But that will have to wait for the next video. That will do it for this part of Enchanter. My name is ballerscuba. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video when we play Enchanter itself.